A few years ago in our business, I started noticing these patterns of, what needs to happen during various times of the year from a business standpoint, right? So sometimes that meant, I needed to pay our estimated taxes. Of course, that happens every quarter if you're in the situation where you're making enough profit in your business that you need to start paying estimated taxes. So I was, doing that, and then there were other business milestones throughout the year that I needed to be aware of and be on top of. So I just started keeping track of all of that on a calendar so that I wouldn't get behind on anything or miss any deadlines. So other things were like, we had to pay liability insurance by a certain date, stuff like that. So anything, business or tax or accounting related, I was starting to keep track of. So a few things that were really helpful for me, I want to share with you today. So 3 things you can do in your design business now so you can have a more profitable and less stress 2020. Okay, I'm always about wanting to save you guys time, save you some stress, and always about, of course, making more profit. So that's what we all want, right? So I'll just dive right into some tips for you. Keep this short and hopefully actionable for you. So one thing I started doing several years ago was checking my finances in November, taking a look at my profit and loss, figuring out if I was ahead of last year or behind as it compared to the last year. And this is because, as many of you probably know, if you've been in business for a while, depending on how much profit you make, you're going to be paying more taxes, right, in the next year. So on your tax return that comes out in April, and I'm talking about people in the U.S., of course. I'm sure there's similar tax things to be aware of in other countries, but this is just specifically in the U.S. So I remember the first year I was freelancing, I was working full-time still. This was back in 2001 or 2 or something like that. I was working full-time, and so was Todd, my husband, and I had taken on some freelance projects on the side that apparently added up to, maybe a few $1,000s or something. And at the time, I think I had formed a business. I don't even recall. But we went to H&R Block to get help with our taxes at the end of the year because I wasn't sure how I was supposed to report this new freelance income because it really was like a separate business. Well, we met with them and went through the whole thing, and we ended up owing, I think, $900 or something extra on our taxes, and it kind of it was really hard to swallow. At the time, we didn't have an extra $900 laying around, so we had to get creative about how we were going to pay those taxes. So, excuse me. So I think as much as you can do to kind of get ahead of that, do some planning, and just be aware of what might be hitting you in these different financial areas, you're going to be much better off. So what I do now is in November, I take a look at everything and see kind of where we are profit-wise, and then I actually get in touch with my accountant. We did hire an accountant several years ago, which is the best decision ever. It actually doesn't cost that much. They take so much of the worry and headache off of your plate. I still do my own bookkeeping, but we do have an accountant who handles all of our taxes and all that sort of stuff. So she helps me at the end of the year figure out where we're at, and then if it's looking like we're going to have a really profitable year, that's when Todd and I will discuss possibly buying, replacing some of our equipment, or getting something new for the office, like upgrading our computers or something that we've been needing to do in the office. Because of course, if we spend that money on business stuff, that becomes then an expense and less taxes we're going to pay in the following year. So that's my suggestion to you. Just put this on your calendar in early November to take a look at where you're at and where you think you're going to be by the end of the year, and get in touch with your accountant to see what you can do to reduce your tax liability. The other thing I do in November to ensure a more profitable year the next year is I will send out letters to clients in November that gives them a fair warning as to if we're going to be raising our rates. So I do suggest you consider raising your rates every single year. Cost of living goes up every single year. Your expertise, your experience, what you bring to the table, your value goes up every year. So if there's a way for you to be paid more for that, I encourage you to do that. So part of what we do, like I said, is to send out letters in November to clients, just kind of giving them, hey, a heads up about our rates will be this in the next year. And I feel like November is a good time to do it. It gives clients enough warning, if you will, that this is coming. It also feels like a very natural time to do it, right? Everybody kind of expects things to be new and different in the new year. And also I like to send it in advance so that they can start planning their budgets for the next year, their marketing and design budgets. All right, so the third thing I'll suggest is, and this was probably the thing that has helped the most to create some predictable workload and income and more profit in our business. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. So several years ago, and I don't remember where I got this idea, if it came to me or if I heard it on a podcast or something, but I'll go through and look at all the projects we did throughout the year, and I'll actually map them out on a spreadsheet by month. So, you know, on a spreadsheet, you can have the different tabs down at the bottom. I would do January, February, March, and I would list each project we did in order. So, you know, the first one's in January down through the month. I would just list each project, list the approximate dates that we completed that project. And that way I can go back to those same clients a few months ahead, excuse me, and actually reach out to them and see if that same project might need to happen again in the coming year. So by having it all in a spreadsheet, and I try to keep up with this throughout the year, make sure I'm cataloging all these projects throughout the year. By doing that, it gives me a little bit of breathing room. It gives the client a little bit of breathing room so that I can get in touch with them, say, hey, you know, I noticed you did this newsletter in April of last year. Is this something you're going to need again? If so, would you like to get it on our schedule now so we can ensure we have the bandwidth to get it done for you in time? And a lot of clients really appreciate this reminder. It just kind of gets them thinking ahead a little bit more too. And obviously for us, it helps us plan ahead so that we kind of know what projects are coming, how busy we're going to be, and also plan on that income. So I would suggest starting something like that for yourself. And it doesn't have to be super fancy. I mean, you could just keep a list. You don't have to actually go into a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets, so that's my thing. But and then a couple of bonus tips for you as we have the holidays coming and some hopefully some time out. Hopefully you're taking some time off with your family to enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas and that sort of thing. So what I like to do is put my upcoming vacation dates in my email signature. So I'll just say, you know, upcoming closure dates or upcoming vacation or time out of the office, however you want to word it that makes sense for you. And I'll actually put those dates in there so that every email that goes out, it's like a subtle reminder. You know, in addition, I do send an email to clients ahead of time, letting them know when we will be out. But this, you know, nobody's going to remember that. At least I don't when people tell me if it's not right in front of my face. So the email signature really helps with that. So that's a little bonus tip for you. I hope that helps. And I would love to know from you guys, what tips do you have for kind of closing out your year on a strong note and starting again next year? I think it's another thing I forgot to mention. I think it's really important to look at where you look at where you came in the last year. See all of the awesome projects you've done, all the awesome things that you've accomplished, and just celebrate that for a minute. So please let me know in the comments how you prepare for next year. I'm sure there are some amazing tips from our community that you could share with others. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking more about this. I think this is an idea I'm kind of throwing around. We might do a fun challenge around getting prepared for next year. And I promise this will be fun. It's not going to be boring work. I know, planning for the next year never sounds very enticing, but I'm going to make it as fun as possible. So let me know if that's something that sounds good to you. Or if it doesn't sound good to you, let me know too. I'm really looking for your guys' feedback on what might be helpful for you in your business. So, all right, that's it for today. Have an awesome day. And as always, leave any comments, questions, thoughts in the comments. All right, have a good one. Bye.